I went to lunch today with a friend who is active Mormon and believing Mormon, and he basically said that nice guy, great guy, I respect him, and he basically said, you know, your posts appear as though you are angry, and also for people who are believing Mormons, they are offensive posts, and so I thought that was nice of him to say that, to be honest with me, and you know, I've already had that feedback from so many Mormons on social media, and you know, you can see in my posts, you can read the comments, you'll see that people are very outspoken. People, there's some people who are very outspoken, and they're, you know, they find what I have said distasteful, or they're very angry with me. And I wanted to share with everybody a couple things that you might not know about my personal story, and why I feel as strongly as I do, and why I am keeping this up. Well, first of all, I want to dedicate this video to a very sweet person, and she's a friend of mine, and I don't want to say her name because I just want to respect her privacy, but she's a great person, and she loves other people, and she's a college-age girl, and she is part of our support group, and she's been helping support other people as they're leaving Mormonism, and she's not been posting anything publicly herself, and she's not been doing anything of an aggressive nature. And there was someone in our group who went and they basically gathered evidence that she was in the group and that she was supporting others, is all she was doing, and they went and they turned that over to her family, and her family has now aggressively gone after her, and they have told her that they will no longer support her financially in college, and that her whole support system, her whole everything that she's known and used to is gone, and she'll have to drop out of school and so forth, just because she decided that Mormonism, what she was born into, wasn't right for her, and she, like me, realized all the heartache and the struggle and the guilt and the shame and the pain that it had caused her in her life, and realizing that there's many, many more people out there like us, she wanted to support others as they transitioned out, and she wanted to make them feel safe and valued. And because of that, her world is turned upside down and ripped to smithereens right now. And these are the inner battles, these are the silent battles that are happening in this war. And this is just one story that I heard today, and I'm hearing all these stories, thousands of them, thousands of stories where families, if you don't want to stay in the religion that you were born into, it is completely unacceptable, and the fallout is unbelievable. You can't imagine what these people do in the name of Jesus, in the name of religion. So and then people wonder why people like me are trying to bring stuff like that garbage to light. They wonder why. There were a couple things that happened to me when we decided to leave the Mormon church. There was a couple very specific things that happened to me that lit this fire under me. And I want to share those things with you. Number one, I asked my wife to please keep it private that we had left the church, and let's just go about this quietly. I knew the backlash that would come. I knew the judgment that I had cast upon people who had left the Mormon church. Not knowing their stories, I made up all kinds of things about them, very bad things. I assumed the worst about them. I didn't do the Christian thing, so to speak. I didn't just call them or go see them and talk to them and offer my love and support no matter what. I was afraid of them. I was afraid of them. I was afraid of what they heard or knew or what they'd become. I feared that they had become dark and evil. And I did that over and over and over and over again as an active believing Mormon. And I'm so sorry that I did that, because that's about the furthest thing you could do from a Christian standpoint, if we're talking about Jesus, is to not go and love people unconditionally and offer them support no matter where they are, which is what everyone should do, whether you're Christian or not. It's just the right thing to do. I asked my wife to please keep it quiet and let's give this time. In fact, I specifically said, let's give it a year. Let's not do anything or say anything for a full year. And my feeling about that was that we were too weak. My wife she's just too authentic. She just can't fake things. I'd been faking the faith for probably about 6 or 7 years. I'd been mentally checked out. I still believed it, but I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. There was so much about it I found distasteful. And I was just going through the motions and I was mentally checked out. But my wife can't fake things. It's just not in her to do it. And so I was on a business trip. I remember I was at this convention, and while I was gone, unbeknownst to me, my wife went and she publicly posted, and my wife has a very big following. It's predominantly a Mormon following, because that's how she, that's what she focused on. And she posted that she'd left the Mormon church, and she did so in an unbelievably gracious and respectful way. She basically said that this just isn't for us now, and we valued this chapter of our life, and it's taught us good morals and values, and we've made wonderful relationships, but now we're going to move on into the next chapter of our life, and that's not going to include this religion. And we don't want to say anything bad about you, and we don't want to be at odds. We want to maintain all these relationships, and we can all be right, is what she said. We can all be right. And the backlash was unbelievable. Women, all these women professing to be Christian, professing to be God's chosen people, attacking my wife, ripping her to smithereens, publicly, private messages, just tearing her to pieces. And I couldn't tolerate it. I couldn't stand for it. She'd done nothing wrong. She didn't deserve it. And that's what started all of this. Even still, I think I was in an okay place. I felt the need to come to the defense of my wife. Yes, I did. And we kind of agreed that, hey, let's be open about this. This climate, this culture is not right. How people, like for instance, right after we left, one of my daughter's little friends, my daughter's only 7, and one of her little friends said to her, your mom and dad are evil now because they don't go to our church anymore. And my daughter said, no, that's not true. And then she said, well, that's what my mommy told me. And so Crystal and I thought, well, maybe we can be public about this. Maybe we can help change things. Maybe we can help change the perspective. Maybe we can make it safe for people to leave, and people should be allowed to leave if they want to. If you're born into a religion and at some point you decide it's not for you, you should be allowed to leave. And there shouldn't be any ill will or any resentment or any judgment. Now I want to show you something. This letter was sent by one of my family members on August 26th, 2018. Now keep in mind, all I'd done is come to the defense of my wife up until that point. That's all I had done. And then this letter was written and sent to every member of my family, all active believing Mormons. And I'm going to read it to you. It says, honestly, I would not read Sean's emails or look at his posts. I listened to his podcast. I got sucked in and felt so sorry for him. But in the end, I felt negativity and a dark feeling. I wept. The seed of doubt was planted 6 years ago. People of the church make mistakes and are imperfect. They say and do the stupidest things. And we have to constantly practice patience and forgiveness, or we will all be offended at some point and leave. I can promise you, the second you allow doubt and fear to preside over faith and hope, the second you look at or read anti-crap, you are giving Satan some power, and he will unleash legions on you. Don't do it. Sean is posting anti-Mormon crap, and he is crafty. Beware, with 3 exclamation points. Don't read it. I recognized the feeling of darkness when I read it, and I have not read it again. Do not think for 1 minute he respects your faith and belief. At this point, Sean is lost. And he does not respect your beliefs. He wants you to follow him. And if you don't, he is going to say on his next podcast that we all dislike him and do not support him. It's all the work of Satan. Pray for his kids, because they are the ones that will bring him back. 3 exclamation points. This I know! Exclamation point. Bottom line, you will find exactly what you are looking for. If you want a reason to leave, you will find one. If you are looking for a reason to stay, you will find that. Let's stay in this together! All exclamation points. We need him to know we love him, but unfortunately he is pushing every one of us away from him. We can still send messages of love, but I'd be very careful, all capitals, what you allow him to say and to show you, to say to you and to show you. And he is dying, all caps, dying to show you what he thinks he's found. I also promise you, if you remember and obediently follow President Monson's dying testimony in the last conference to read the Book of Mormon every day, we will be okay. We are going to make it. I tell my kids, if they're reading the scriptures every day, I'm not going to worry about them, because every time they open the book, They are saying to Heavenly Father, I am here. I am ready to hear what you want to tell me. I'm obedient. And take the sacrament every week with 3 exclamation points. No matter what. That's all I got. But I had to share and advise, please, even though you have so much to say to Sean, because he is wrong and you are right, and he has caused much division and pain in the family for many years, do not respond. I feel strongly it is the best we can do. I love you guys. I, God, and His Son. 3 exclamation points. I love His church, all caps. It isn't perfect, but I have felt the Spirit so many times testify to me. It is true. 3 exclamation points. Now, one person responded, thank you so much. Wise, inspired words. I am so grateful we are all in this together and that we have the Spirit to lead, guide, comfort, prompt, protect, and inspire. His letter felt evil to me. His posts feel evil. Everything about this situation has darkness and Satan written all over it. Now keep in mind, this was in August of last year. I hadn't done much at all. I did not read any of the anti-Mormon literature, nor will I. I am in complete agreement with your thoughts and feelings. I have no intention of responding to anything he sends me. It is a lose-lose situation, and nothing good will ever come of it. This I know. Thank you. Love you. So, at that point in time, I hadn't really done much. Not much. Not really. We were just on the podcast trying to explain, we were just trying to be understood. Here's what you don't know. When people leave the Mormon church, they will say some pretty darn horrible things about you. They make some horrible assumptions about you. It's really, really bad. It's crazy because it's okay for someone else to be Catholic. It's okay for someone else to be Baptist or Muslim. They'll treat those people with dignity and respect. But if you were one of their own and you left the team, no, it's unacceptable. And as you could see by the email, I am essentially damned. That's what I gathered. I don't know about you guys, but what I gathered from my supposedly loving family is that I am damned. I am forever, I think the word that was used was lost, and I'm pretty sure they said that I'm satanic. Is that what you gathered? I mean, that's what I read. Now, here's the crazy thing. I'm not a bad person. I don't go around hurting people. I mean, I've got some character flaws. I've got some personality traits like we all do, that might be unsavory, that might be, things I need to work on. But by and large, I'm not hurting people. I'm a good person who loves people. I love my family. I'm a good citizen. I contribute. This painted me out to be a monster. And I'm not okay with that. And I don't think my family realized how bad this hurts. Because they know me, and they're essentially choosing the religion over me, which is fine. I mean, there's been conference talks by Mormon leaders that have basically said there may be a time where you have to disassociate. It was, what's his name? Bednar. Bednar gave a talk where he basically said, in the event that these people are non-believing, you may have to disassociate yourself from them. Yes, even your most precious loved ones, you may have to stop associating with them. And I can provide the talk, the link and the reference if you like. Bottom line is, if you're going to go, you have to go quietly. You're not allowed to go and give the reasons why. You're not allowed to go and say, you know what? I'm going to support others too, because this has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I've never felt so alone in my life. I've never felt so misjudged in my entire life. I've never felt so misunderstood in my entire life. And people say, why can't you just let it go? Why can't you just leave and shh, just be quiet? Let me ask members, if active members were to watch this, I'm going to ask you something. If you found out, let's say that President Nelson came to your house, he knocked on your door, and he said, hello, Brother so-and-so, Brother Escobar, Sister Smith, whatever. Hey, can I tell you a little secret? I've got to get this off my chest. Oh, wow, it's so good to see you. Whoa, this is amazing. Thanks for being here. Like, this is unreal. Oh, yeah, thanks. But I got to tell you a little secret. I got to get this off my chest. You see, first of all, let me say all religions can't be true, as far as I'm concerned. And there's people out there that are very liberal, very progressive. It's fine. You do you. But I'm far too literal. I'm far too exact. I'm a very pragmatic person. And all of these religions can't be true. They're all competing. They all contradict one another. It's just not possible. With that said, they're not all true. So, which one is true? And everybody seems to think that theirs is. You ask the Muslims and they're right. You ask the Jewish and they're right. You ask the Hindu and they're right. And the Jehovah's Witnesses are right. And the Mormons, of course, are right. We're all right. And the Mormons claim they are the fullness of truth. And they're the one and only true. And if you deny that, if you're going to sit there and tell me that that's not true, we don't believe that. We respect all religions. That's garbage. I was Mormon for 20 consecutive adult years. I was raised in a Mormon culture and community. They posture themselves as the one and only true gospel. The only way to get to the highest degree of the celestial kingdom is through the Mormon church and their ordinances and so forth. So President Nelson knocks on your door and he says, I've got to tell you a secret. I've got to get something off my chest. Oh, sure, anything, yes. It's not literally true. What? Yeah, it's not literally true. What are you talking about? And then he says, but here's the thing. You can't tell anybody. I just had to tell somebody. I can't tell my wife, or my wives, sorry. I can't tell the brethren. I can't tell anybody else, but just keep this secret between us. It's not literally true. Don't tell anyone. And then he leaves. You're sitting there going, what? What am I supposed to do with this? You're not going to tell anybody? You're just going to keep that secret? You're going to keep that quiet? And you're going to sit there and witness all of this intolerance and all this bigotry, racism. You're going to sit there and you're going to watch teens die in massive proportions. I mean, the church has the highest teen suicide rate in the country, ages 11 to 17. Why? Because of all the shame and guilt and worthiness interviews and sexual questions. And you're going to just sit there and stand back and not say anything? And you're going to sit there and you're going to watch women, all the women's oppression? There's not a modern day organization in America that's so hard on women. And women don't even have a clue because they're not used to anything else. They don't even know what women's empowerment is. They hold no meaningful callings. They can't make any meaningful decisions. They have very little influence whatsoever. They stand on no big boards or anything. Nothing. It's all men. And you're going to sit there with that knowledge that it's not literally true? and you're just going to sit there and you're not going to say anything about it? You're going to watch other people that try to leave with their dignity intact and they're damned? I mean, they're crucified. They're alienated. They're cast off. You're going to sit there and watch people disown their own loved ones and remove the inheritance and stop helping with college support. Why? Because you don't believe as I do religiously? One of my best friends growing up, his dad was a very successful businessman, prominent businessman, and he told my best friend, if you ever leave the church, you forfeit your inheritance and I give it to the church. Told him that as a teenager. I'm supposed to be quiet? I'm supposed to let that garbage happen? I could go on and on and on. Why? Because ever since I've been public with this, I've been contacted by thousands of people with thousands of different stories. People that have been abused, traumatized, all in the name of religion. And I'm supposed to just shut up and be quiet? I'm supposed to just slip away? Go live my life? These are people I care about. I care about Mormon people. That's my tribe. That's where I was raised. I mean, I'm not going to sit back and let that garbage happen. Gays? You think I'm going to sit there and let gays be abused like that? All the suicides because gay people don't understand why the Mormon church can't just embrace them and appreciate them. And these progressive liberal Mormons are going to say, well, the church has come a long ways with the gays. Really? I'd love to know people who are gay. I'd love to hear your perspective on that, because what I hear is that you still feel unwanted. You still feel unloved. You still feel like misfits. You still don't know why God made you the way He made you. Doesn't make any sense. And I got to sit there and just... It's the weirdest thing, you know? And then, like, the polygamists, the FLDS, watch how active Mormons treat them. Watch how they talk about them. They belittle them. They look down on them. They think that they're the scum of the earth. I've seen it. I've heard it. And yet they don't know that they're more fundamental to what Joseph Smith started than we ever were. Section 132 is staring you right in the face. It's still right there in your quad. It's right there in your Doctrine and Covenants. Go read it. It says that polygamy is still in effect. It's still a doctrine. Dallin H. Oaks is married to more than one woman, sealed to more than one woman. So is President Nielsen. It's in effect. The law of polygamy, the new and everlasting covenant, it's right there staring you in the face. It's not changed. Just because the government shut down polygamy and the Mormons, you know, the Mormon church as we know it, they conformed, but that spiritual doctrine is still in place. And women don't believe that, and they don't know their own doctrine. And I'm supposed to just shut up and be quiet? But most importantly, look at this. This letter from my family damning me. And guess why they damn me? Because the Mormon church teaches that there isn't a hell, so to speak. There's this place, you got the celestial kingdom, the terrestrial kingdom, the telestial kingdom, and you got the spirit world, and then you've got this place, this dark place with all the gnawing and the gnashing of teeth and the weeping and the wailing, and it's called outer darkness. And guess what? This is sad. The murderers don't go there. My sexual predator, the guy that abused me, he won't be there. Even people like that, the most evil of them all, they still make it to the telestial kingdom. Guess who gets to go to outer darkness? The sons of perdition. Look it up. Study your scriptures. Me. That's why I'm damned. How would you think it would feel if your loving family that raised you, if all of them believed you were damned and you were the only one who was damned? Then they say they love you, you know? They say they love you unconditionally, but you're damned. So, what's going to happen? Here's what I foresee. Brave people. Your kids are going to leave the church. If you're in your 50s and 60s, you probably have a kid that's left the church. If you haven't, they will. If they haven't left, then you're great. Because it's not literally true. And when they leave, you're going to have to make a choice. And the choice is going to be, am I going to damn them? Or am I going to fake it? Some of my family have just faked it. They believe I'm damned, but they're trying their darndest, and I love them for it. They're trying so hard to love me anyway. But they don't believe I have the Spirit. They don't believe I have the Holy Ghost. They believe I'm lost and I'm evil. I mean, that's what the doctrine says, you guys. Study the talk, study the doctrine. With that in mind, you're going to have some brave parents out there in their 50s and 60s. There's going to be some brave pioneers that come forward and they're going to say, no. No. You're not going to... Don't damn my kids. They're good people. Don't damn my grandchildren. I won't allow it. The Mormon Church is going to have to frame itself differently. It's going to have to frame itself as an option. It's going to have to frame itself. It's going to have to become very, very much liberal, socialistic, progressive, and they're going to have to say, this is an option. It's a way to raise a family. We teach good morals and values. We no longer going to say we're the one and only true church, which is offensive to all other religions, by the way. And we're no longer going to damn people for leaving. And that's what's coming. That's what will happen. I don't know how soon, but it's probably going to be sooner rather than later, because it's not trendy to leave the Mormon Church, you guys. You guys have no idea. If you think that this is some popular thing to do, some trendy thing to do, you have no idea what you deal with on a daily basis when you leave the Mormon Church. I walked by my house on the lane here the other night, and the guy wouldn't even make eye contact with me. I'm not even a human being anymore. Okay? Why? Because in his mind, he's thinking, I choose God over him. He is evil. He is Satan. I choose God. And they don't realize what we're trying to accomplish here. We want good people to be able to leave their life. They're born into a religion. They're born into it. They didn't choose that, guys. Stop telling me I chose it. That's not fair. They're born into a religion, and when they choose to leave, they're belittled, they're shamed, they're ostracized, and they're damned. Change it. Let's change that. Okay? Don't accept it anymore. You parents out there, you parents and grandparents, say no. No more. We won't allow it anymore. Okay? The women just became able to wear pants on their mission. Like, welcome to the 21st century. The women can wear pants on their mission. The women don't have to veil their faces in the temple. The women no longer have to go through their husbands to get to the Lord. Now, it took until 2019, January 2019, for women to be able to go direct to the Lord and not have to go through their husbands to get to the Lord. And all of you that are active, you know that's true. I'm not a liar. I am not a dishonest person. I have integrity, and that's the absolute truth. That took until 2019. Wow. Mormon Church, you're about 200 years late, okay? That's ridiculous. So, how did that change happen? You have lots of different people to thank for that, but probably the women's libs that are always petitioning and fighting for women's rights in the church, okay? And then change happens because women fight for it. Just recently, they changed something. Sam Young did a hunger strike downtown. He says, this all coincided with my sexual abuse case that was featured on the cover of the New York Times. Sam Young says, I was a bishop. I disagree that men should be allowed to be alone with children in a closed room. I would add that they shouldn't be alone with women either. He says, I disagree with this concept. It never felt right. I don't like it. And they certainly should not be talking about sexually explicit things with little young children, asking young teenagers if they masturbate, prying and poking into their sexual stuff. It's despicable. It should be illegal. And it's causing all kinds of sexual abuse and problems. And guess what? The church responds and they say, okay, we're going to excommunicate the bishop for even bringing it to light. You're exed. You're no longer even a member. You're damned. But now what we're going to do is we're going to say it's optional. Parents can come into the interview room with the children if they want to. They don't have to, but if they want to. And they're still asking children to this day sexually explicit questions, sexually intimate things, details. It goes so far as to say bishops ask young girls about their orgasms and how it feels. And this is not once or twice. This is prevalent. Don't even put men in that position. Don't put men in a position where they'll fall. Don't put men in a position where they'll be turned on by gross things. And men are just that. They're men. I could go on and on and on all day long with all manner of issues. There's so many things that need to change about the Mormon Church. And it hits home for me. Why? Because of this. This. See this? Me, my wife, my children, damned? Strike me down, Elohim. I'm waiting. Jehovah, come after me. It ain't going to happen, guys. Damned? I think not. And people like me are going to keep speaking up because we know that Mormons are listening. I know you're listening to me. I know you are. Thank you for listening. Now, we either change things, and what brings about change? A voice. We have to open our mouths. We can't let families do that to the friend of mine, the college-age girl. I'm not going to say her name, but we can't let that happen. We all have to band together and say, that? A Christian principle? No. If anything's satanic and evil, if there is a Satan, that's satanic and evil. To do that to a girl because she says, this religion doesn't really fit me. I don't really like it. I don't feel good in it. I'm more of a free spirit. And you're going to do that to her? That's evil. That's satanic. Woo! I got to clean all this up now. Anyway, I hope my family watches this. If you watch this, don't ever call me a liar again. You know I'm probably the most honest person in the entire family. I'm brutally honest. I have integrity. That's probably what's wrong with me, is I call it like I see it. And if I see something not right, I'm going to call it out. And if I see people hurting other people, I'm going to do something about it. That's not going to change. It's just what God made me to be. All right. Thanks for joining me.